everyone, hope you're doing well. As you can see by my side, I've got a very special guest with me today, Mr. Josh Middleton of Architects and Sylosis. How you doing, man?
Very good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, man, very well. First of all, massive thank you for coming down today, we really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, more than welcome. I was saying to you off camera, we're coming up actually on first year anniversary of having ESP, and it's really cool to kind of go full circle, and from the first shipment arriving this time last year to having yourself a fully fledged signature artist with us here today. So massive thank you for coming down.
Thank you. Yeah,
first of all, I'd love to know, how did the relationship with ESP first begin with you?
I mean, I actually started working with them in like 2006 or 7.
Yeah.
Back in the day, using it for a while.
Because it seems like you've been with them forever.
I had a brief period where I wasn't with them, and they had, I think, a change up over here as well in terms of like artist relations and stuff. But I've been with them since 2015 or 14.
Yeah.
Exclusively, and yeah, I mean, they've always been my favourite guitar company.
Yeah, that leads perfectly on to my next question. So, what was it? Was it something you grew up as a child idolising?
Yeah, definitely.
Guitars?
I remember, like, obviously the guys in Metallica.
Of course.
I remember like Steph from Deftones, like seeing the inlay to Around the Fur and being like, that guitar looks cool. And there were loads of ads for his. I guess he had a signature model, or just LTD at the time, maybe. So just like loads of bands that I liked were using them.
I think I think they're one of them brands that really, when they came out, obviously in the 80s, I suppose it was, really, wasn't it? They were kind of, they found that niche. No one was really doing it quite like them, and they found the formula. They ran with it, and it's been successful for them ever since.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I just remember like the first time I played one, and it just felt like the quality was, to me, like just above anything else I'd played at that time, and like even though it was an LTD still. And I've pretty much mostly played LTDs in terms of like how many I've had from them over the years. Like I've had more LTDs than ESPs, and like the quality on them is still great. And
yeah, completely. I mean, the guitars that we see come through the shop, various price points from the most affordable and consumer friendly to the top end of LTD and to E2. The quality right across the board, and whether it's build quality and QC and quality control, it's just phenomenal. They're amazing guitars.
Misery!
Yeah, and it's awesome to see when an artist has a relationship with a brand. You sometimes get creations like we've got here with the brand new JM-II for this year. I wonder if you could talk me through how this came about. First concept that started with you guys. Was it a conversation?
You know what? I think I have to do a massive shout out to a guy, Chris Rawson from Stick to Your Guns and Wars of Jericho, because he was just like, to the rep in the US when we played a show in LA, I was like, you should give this guy a signature one. I was like, oh, thank you, because
always helping you out.
That sort of like started the conversation after that. I was like, so can we do that? And they're like, yeah, sure. So basically, I mean, I essentially almost designed this exact guitar when I was like 16, and like the specs probably very similar. So it's a bunch of stuff that's like tried and tested for me over the years that I always go back to. So the main combination is an older body and a bolt-on maple neck. And in the studio, I'd always, like especially when we're just trying out guitars for rhythm tones, like the first album we did, I bought like 5 guitars to the studio, and the 2 guitars that were older body, bolt-on maple necks, sounded way better than the others, way more like pick attack, and not in like a nasty, harsh, scratchy, scrapey, mid-rangey way, just the pick attack was just a bit more prominent for what I wanted. And so that's just something that has been a combination that I've always loved the sound of. And also I do like loads of lead playing up here, and I never find like a bolt-on isn't much of an issue. I think a lot of like younger players or less experienced players see bolt-on as being like a cheaper thing, because it's a cheaper construction,
there is
of course,
that sort of persona.
But it's, to me, like the tonal, like what you get from the tone of like that bolt-on sound, it outweighs that, and like I still have to get up the dusty end to sweep pick up here, so it's not a problem. There's a lot really good high fret access. And I've been with Fishman pickups for about 4 years now. I've been playing their Fishman Moderns pretty much.
Are you reaching for the active voicing more than the passive?
Yeah, always.
I've seen
pretty much.
You've kind of been
now and then, like if there's a clean part, maybe I'll switch, like more so in the studio. But for the most part, just the modern in the bridge position. The thing that I really like about this guitar that's quite unique, I think it's the only production model ESP that has this, and LTD, is the recessed tunematic bridge. I tried out a different bridge on the first prototype, very low profile, slimline bridge, and it was really comfy and everything, which is why I guess everyone gravitates toward them. And I'd played them before, but it was only when I was like getting it under the microscope that I realised that it was a bit more of a thinner, more brittle sound, and I really liked the way these sounded. So I mentioned that to ESP, and they were like, how about we do this recess, which they are doing on a lot of their USA custom shops.
Right.
And I was like, yep, that is the best of both worlds.
It's great to see those features. It sort of blurs the lines that you would expect with a custom shop, kind of more bespoke made instrument coming to a production line model, especially at such a killer price point that these are.
Yeah, I think a lot of people gravitate towards more kind of slimline bridges for modern playability and comfort. But for me, like the tone's got to be the most important thing with this guitar. Like everything. The main like choices have all been about the tone. So I like the body, the construction of the neck, the pickups, and the bridge. It all has to be a guitar that, like, when I'm in my studio at home, just chugging, I just can do that for like an hour. It's like, yeah, that sounds good.
I'm happy with that. Yeah.
So the bridge, I'm really happy with that combination of the tunematic bridge, which I think is my favourite sounding bridge. I think it's just really good, well-rounded tone to it. But yeah, the recess just makes it a lot more comfortable and modern. The thing I actually prefer about this as well, which is just like a fluke or an accident, is with other smaller modern bridges, sometimes it's like hard to know where the bridge starts and when the string's in, and I like that this bit is there, that when I'm on stage and just kind of doing this, I know exactly where my palm mute pivot point is. Like I can just rest there, and like it kind of sticks out, not in an annoying way, but in a way like where I don't need to like look or feel it. It's just like instantly
I noticed that
there.
earlier when this is the first time we've actually been able to get our hands on these for everyone watching at home. We're still eagerly awaiting our first shipment of these, and you very kindly let me have a little noodle earlier, have a little play, and I found that you really can just lock in there, and it feels like a real good reference point.
Yeah, palm muting is my life, so
yeah, well,
so
it is for everyone, isn't it now?
Yeah.
I'd love to, if you're willing to play a little bit, I'd love to hear sort of the difference that you find between the active and the passive voicing.
Yeah. Sorry, talking over you.
No, there is a difference between the neck pickup and the bridge, and just sort of just
yeah,
some
I
tones.
mean, for me, like I tend to just stay in the active voicing. I mean, I'm mostly nearly always on the bridge for most of what I do, even if it's clean stuff. But I'll just do some riffs and chugging. And the neck. And yeah, like I guess the passive sound I never really mess around with. So that's active, passive. I think that is sort of like closer to like a JB sort of sound for that one. I'm not too sure about the neck. Nicely. At least if I was on a tone that wasn't absolutely saturated.
Although you say you don't normally reach for the passive, I think it's really cool when you see a signature artist come out like yourself with a guitar that anyone can pick up. You know, you can walk into any shop, walk into Peach, see it on the wall and just grab it straight away. And I think it's really cool to have that, the active and the passive voicing, so that anyone can play.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've always kind of had that, as we mentioned earlier, like that view on signature model guitars that I didn't want it to be like, you know, crazy graphics or like anything that made it look like it was someone else's guitar. Like if no one's ever heard of me and they see this guitar on the, you know, the wall, they'll just be like, oh, that's a cool looking guitar. It doesn't have like my signature all over it. It's just a little understated one on the back there.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, like, for me personally, if these pickups only did the active sound, that's still what I would have gone for probably, because that's just what I like. But having the passive mode in there is just great for anyone else who prefers the passive sound or wants to have the best of both worlds, which is really cool. I've always just liked the active voicing for heavy stuff. Like, you see a lot of people just regurgitate the same sort of comments like, oh, there's no dynamics.
Yeah,
like, I don't want dynamics.
I know you're going to say.
I just want to go. I want to be like, you know, James Hetfield, just like every note sounds the same. And like, ideally you want to play for that, obviously, and practice your picking. But if the pickup can help, that would be great too.
When you're playing sort of heavy riffs like that, you don't want that sort of...
Especially not with two guitarists.
No,
yeah, like if you've got both guitarists left and right, you want it as tight as you can get it and as consistent and less. I found like a lot of passive pickups always get more like, I feel like the scrapey, scratchy noises just come through a little bit more obviously. So it's just, yeah, more of a well-rounded time for me.
Yeah, and you know, obviously we spoke about the pickups, but just overall, this is a killer guitar at a killer price point. I love the fact that you've been able to get a roasted maple neck on here.
Yeah, I think like that was initially more of just an aesthetic thing, just because, like I said, I think some people have this like association with bolt-on guitars being like cheaper or like just cutting corners, but that was definitely not the intention. It was just purely because I think it sounds better.
Got a real snap to them, I think.
Yeah, but having like the roasted maple neck looks a bit more classy and a bit more high-end, and we've got the lumen layers as well.
Yeah, amazing.
Which are great for seeing in the dark. So it feels like a nice high-end, high-quality guitar. You've got the extra jumbo stainless steel frets as well, which not many of them
not going to burn through them anytime soon.
No. And it's quite a thin neck profile. It's thinner than most of the models they do. I think it's on some of the models they put out, but this is their extra thin U. So it is available
super
on
comfortable,
production models,
quick, get all around the place.
And definitely not the thinnest I've ever played, but for me it's like perfect.
It's comfortable, feels like home. And it's what I think that's what you want when you pick up a new guitar now. You want that feel of an old friend that you've had for years. You know, you can reach for his studio, you know what you're going to get, and it just feels comfortable.
For sure.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you bringing these down. And for anyone that does want to check these out, these are, like I said, currently available for pre-order on the Peach Guitars website. We are eagerly awaiting the first delivery of these. Shouldn't be too much longer, hopefully, till you guys can get your hands on them. But for those waiting, here's a little show of what you can expect.
Familiar
had a very busy last 12 to 18 months. Obviously, the industry has been a complete anomaly of a year.
Yeah.
With the release of For Those That Wish to Exist, for those who don't know, the latest Architects album, absolutely killer record. Go and check it out now. I'd love to know how the writing process, the recording process was different, obviously compared to Holy Hell, obviously with the pandemic and how that affected yourself as a band.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would have been slightly different regardless of that, and we had sort of started tracking it, or some of it, maybe just before the pandemic started. So, yeah, well, actually, no, I think just we finished writing just as the pandemic started, and like the last thing was, I guess, finalising all the vocals and stuff. But in terms of tracking the guitars, like I've always just done it at home, or at least the last few records. So Holy Hell, I just tracked in my home studio. Just gave Nolly the DIs to reamp with, and then this time around, For Those That Wish to Exist, I just tracked through the Kemper at home.
It's the easiest way now, isn't it?
Zach, who mixed it, just the stem of just all 4 rhythm guitar tracks and that sort of thing, and just easier, yeah. So in terms of the rest of the recording, it was quite broken up, but it's sort of how we would have probably done it anyway, because I think on Holy Hell we spent about a month in the studio, and it's not that conducive to like a healthy just mindset. Just like I feel like I personally get a lot of Groundhog Day sort of vibe. So we're going to go just to the studio just for drums anyway, which Dan went up and did. I think maybe Sam or Ali might have gone with him for that. Ali tracked himself doing bass at home, and then Dan and Sam and Ali and Sam did a lot of vocal tracking in Brighton. So it was very broken up, but don't know, we would have seen each other a bit more than that, but it probably would have been quite similar.
Yeah, and the drums, were they tracked at Middle Farm again?
Yes, yeah.
Great studio. I mean, the work I've seen come out of there, like you've done with the recent rendition of Dying's Absolutely Safe, killer rendition of that track. The studio just sounds incredible.
Yes, yeah. That's the reason you make that long trip.
Yeah,
a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, I bet
for that drum
bit
room.
of a long one.
Yeah.
And you said you worked with Nolly.
Actually, he did drums on the latest one as well. He engineered them. He mixed and engineered Holy Hell, and then the new record, Zach Savini mixed it.
Awesome. That's good to hear, man. So what's that dynamic working with Nolly like? For those that don't know, Nolly, former Periphery bassist, amazing guy, real stickler for tone. I know he loves to nail everything from drums to guitar. What's he like working with as a producer?
Oh, he's great, yeah. I mean, I didn't see him this time around, so it was just Dan saw him for like 4 days just for tracking drums. But with Holy Hell, yeah, we spent a bit more time with him. And I mean, me and him, we have a little chat on WhatsApp with another friend that is just like nerding out about guitar tones and stuff, yeah. So, I mean, we just, pick apart our favourite guitar tones and try and like reverse engineer them and that sort of stuff. And yeah, he's got a great ear for tuning drums and that sort of thing.
Completely.
So, yeah, great.
Really awesome guy. One thing I wouldn't have been able to forgive myself without talking to you about after having you down here. Obviously, I'm a massive Architects fan and Sylosis fan. I think I discovered the band back in 2011 with The Here and Now when that first came out, and I'd love if you're comfortable just spend a little bit of time just talking about the working dynamic that you share with Tom Searle. Obviously a massive hero to me and many of our viewers out there. I'd love to know, what was that working relationship like with each other? How was he?
I mean, I was never in the band with Tom.
Of course, but you've always been around the band at the time.
I mean, I never really saw too much of like him working in the studio or anything like that. But I mean, we used to talk about writing all the time, and just me and Sylosis and him with Architects, we were like pretty much the sole songwriters in each band. So we'd have a lot of discussions about, beating ourselves up over song structures or trimming the fat on songs or stuff like that, or just agonizing over arrangements. You might have had a song for like a month or two, but then you just trimming it down so it's less than 5 minutes is a thing that takes forever. So yeah, I mean, I was obviously a huge fan of everything he did, and I always had this sort of, even with Sylosis and obviously still with Architects, just this thing of like, when I write something, I'm like, oh, I hope Tom thinks this is cool, that sort of thing.
Oh wow, so, that's really cool to hear.
So yeah, but in terms of like, yeah, I never really saw him like at work or writing. Cool.
Shows are starting to come back. We can all say we're very happy to hear that. With Architects, you seem to have been ticking off every type of show that you can do. Obviously, starting off with the Albert Hall, an amazing venue, but sadly, no crowd.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was a necessity,
of course,
to keep things going. Because obviously we hadn't the album came out during the pandemic and we couldn't tour it like we would normally. That was really cool. Very weird to play to an empty venue, and I'd never been in there before, so it was just a bit of an odd one. Definitely a weird vibe to try and perform like it's a live show, but there's like no crowd.
To try and bring that energy.
Yeah,
no one
that
screaming
sort of
back at
tricky.
You.
And then we've done a few like album release shows that were way later than the album's release, but they were like in conjunction with buying the album, you could get a ticket for them. They're really cool. I mean, the first one we did was Liverpool in like a 500 capacity venue.
Amazing.
Which Architects hasn't played in for a long time. No. So that was great. And just seeing the look on people's faces, just, really enjoying live music again. And then...
it's such a special thing seeing a band live and, to miss it for, I suppose now it's coming up on 18 months and to finally have that back. Yeah. It's just a great feeling for artists as well, I imagine, to be back on stage.
Yeah, so it's been great. We did 4 club shows. We did 1 festival in London, and then we've just announced some more UK club shows. Because at the moment, that's all you can really kind of hope to rely on.
But still got the arena dates booked in for next year.
Next year. You're
going to tick off the more intimate shows. We're playing places like Brighton and Norwich, close to us here at Peach, and then back in the arenas for early next year now, isn't it?
I think it's about May around then. So hopefully the world is a few more steps back to
hopefully
normal.
We'll get back. I think we will get there. I think we need it. But what can we expect from these shows? Obviously, is it much more of a different experience playing
the club shows?
Much smaller audience, much more intimate.
Just I don't know. It just
less pyro.
No video walls, just less production. But I feel like more energy in the room just because it's so compact. And
I think it's good. I think it's good to see that sometimes when you see these massive bands that are playing arenas and stadiums, sometimes to get them in almost the most raw form. I think a small stage, hardly any room to move around because the drum kit takes up all the middle. It's just cool to see that vibe again.
I love it. I love playing venues that size, so it's great that we can do both and experience both. I look forward to it. I'm coming down to the Nottingham show, so I'm looking forward to that, and should be a good time. Obviously that's the shows spoken about, but is there anything else in the pipeline for Architects or Sylosis for the next 18 months? What are the plans? Just I guess
as much touring as possible.
As much touring as we can get in, but both bands' writing is always at the forefront of our minds or concerns in terms of just need the band writes music that can be rushed. So
of course, you've got to take time.
It's kind of like spinning plates. You just work on songs and keep them all going at the same time. Like you might add one riff to one song that month, and then might write a whole new other song the other month. But just writing is something that is like a full-time job for me. Like when we're not on tour, I just go in my studio and write as much as I can.
I think you need to sometimes. You've almost got to take yourself out of that and obsess about the song and dial in that tone, get the effects right, the delay times, just really kind of live and breathe the riff, the song.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool to hear, man. Like I said, I really appreciate you come down today. It's been a full year since we've had ESP, so it's a great way to sort of mark that occasion and to bring you into our new studio.
Yeah, love it.
Josh is the first guest here, so it's really cool to have him here and shoot with us. So I really appreciate you coming down with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks,
lovely.
Awesome.